Hello, this is the RPG Crawler, and it's that time of year again. Now, last year I picked 5 of my personal favorite RPGs released for the PC in 2015, so I figured, hey, I'll do it again this year, maybe make it a yearly thing. Now, similar rules will apply. The game has to have seen its official release in 2016. No early access stuff unless it was also finally released. I'm going to keep AAA games to just a few slots, and the games won't be ranked per se. Instead, we're going to cover one quirky one old school one with a rich story, one which I consider the best overall indie game, and one the best overall AAA one. Further, as the list name suggests, this will be PC RPGs only. I'm afraid console ones are right out for now. Maybe when I can afford to spend more budget on console games in general. But for now, let's go ahead and start. We'll open up with Salt and Sanctuary from Ska Studios. Released on PC in May 2016, it is a side-scrolling action RPG very reminiscent of the Souls series of games. In it, you are shipwrecked on a foreign land, filled with haunted ruins and tasked with exploring said land. With really solid gameplay, brooding graphics, and a branching world to explore, it kind of combines Metroidvania sensibilities with Souls-esque character advancement and difficulty. Everything about this game is well crafted, and, if you can handle the combat and progression, offers a rewarding experience. I'll count this one as my quirky pick for 2016, even though it actually had a console release way earlier. I think the PC release suits it for this slot. For my old school gaming slot, there are many products released that can fill this each year, but for 2016 I'm going to have to go with Stranger of Sword City. Developed by Experience and released by NIS America, I believe localized from a Japanese version, in June of 2016, it's an old-school, first-person, step-based dungeon crawler, very much reminiscent of the Wizardry series and similar games in that genre. In it, the player is a passenger on a plane which flies through a strange rift and crashes into a fantasy land. In this land, people from other worlds, like Earth, can attain strange and unusual powers. Aside from this setup, it is very much a very hardcore Wizardry-style party-based dungeon crawler. It's difficult to the point of almost being unfair in places, but still a welcome throwback for those of us who are into those old-school games. Graphically, it's quite modern, and the gameplay does include some modern elements while remaining otherwise true to its roots. For my storyline pick, I'm going to go with Tyranny. Developed by Obsidian Entertainment and published by Paradox, it was released in November 2016. Tyranny is a modern take on an overhead isometric RPG in the style of the old Infinity Engine games, made by the same people behind Pillars of Eternity and using much of that same engine. In Tyranny, you play a Fatebinder, a representative of the Overlord Kairos, whose evil armies have overtaken the entire world. The story develops from that point on, giving you the opportunity to play various paths within that world. Some of the writing is indeed a little awkward at times, but the storyline overall, while being a bit on the short side, otherwise fits the game very well and fits in with others of its pedigree. The world itself is extremely well developed. I must admit that Tyranny gets my pick for this slot, mostly because some of the other contenders for this slot were more JRPG styled, and my personal preference tends to skew away from that style of storytelling. Although some of these have been indie games and some of these have been AAA games, let's go with my pick for general, overall favorite indie RPG of 2016. Darkest Dungeon. Now, Darkest Dungeon was developed and published by Red Hook Studios and released in January 2016. Yeah, I know it's been out in early access for nearly a year prior to that, but it finally actually officially came out early this year. During that time, bosses and entire areas were added, gameplay was refined and rebalanced, new mechanics were added, and though this sometimes met with mixed receptions, I honestly think that the game benefited for it. Darkest Dungeon is a difficult roguelike focusing on resource and party management, all with Lovecraftian overtones. You accompany some mercenaries to a ruined hamlet and have to rebuild it and manage a roster of heroes to delve into the dungeons all around the lands and defeat certain bosses, all in an attempt to restore your ancestors' legacy. It is, shall we say, a interesting task. The art style, music, and narration are all top-notch, and Darkest Dungeon rightly claims its place on this list. It is expected to get a DLC early next year, so keep an eye out for that. Finally, we get to what is, in my opinion, the best AAA PC RPG of 2016 overall. As a reminder, this doesn't mean I consider it absolutely better than the indie ones or any of the other slots. These are just 5 themed slots, and some games just fit in better in certain categories. That having been said, my pick for the AAA slot is Dark Souls 3. Developed by From Software and published by them and Namco Bandai, it is the latest and supposedly last entry into the Dark Souls series, a set of action RPGs known for their difficult gameplay, gorgeous environments, and storylines revealed through exploration and visualization with the occasional NPC exposition. Yes, it was released on consoles, and that's actually where I generally played it this year, but it was also released on PC in April 2016, and after tweaking, ended up actually doing quite well on that platform. It also got an expansion for all versions later in the same year. In it, you were dropped into a ruined world and seek to find the 5 Lords of Flame and link them to the Firelink Shrine. As mentioned, the gameplay consists of a good mix of challenging fights with horrible creatures, exploration of gorgeous locales, and piecing together the storyline through cutscenes, scenery, and the occasional NPC. It seems like a polished version of the prior entries to the series and is well worth it for those who are fans of the prior entries. It is, however, unlikely to win any converts amongst those who found the series thus far not to their liking. This completes my list for this year. There were a number of console games I would have loved to put on the list, but alas, I just don't have the time or budget to review them as well. Hopefully I'll be able to include some next year, or maybe make their own list. There were undoubtedly a number of really decent games released this year that I either didn't get to play or missed. Let me know if you think that any spectacular ones really stand out that I just didn't get around to. Hopefully, in 2017, we'll have just as many great games to pour through. If you like what you've seen, leave a like or dislike if you disliked, comment if you've got any feedback, and subscribe for more RPG content. If you want to help support this channel, get early access to videos like this, and help shape the future of this channel, please feel free to check out my Patreon page at the link below or at the end of this video. Until next time, take care and goodbye.